Now at 9, authorities in Joplin investigate an officer-involved shooting. Plus, the city of Frontenac, Kansas is closer to bringing a public library to the community. And the Kansas Secretary of Commerce and Lieutenant Governor stopped by Fort Scott to discuss recent business closures.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy. Joplin police say a suspect is recovering after they were shot by an officer this morning. It happened around 8:30 this morning near 7th and Sergeant. Officers responded to a call of a suspicious person. During the incident, authorities say the officer shot the suspect in the hand and wrist. The suspect was rushed to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The officer was not injured. Last night, authorities responded to reports of a man shot on South Main Street in Carthage, Missouri. Upon arrival, Carthage police administered CPR on an 18-year-old male who suffered a single gunshot wound. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. An investigation revealed a 20-year-old male accidentally fired the fatal shot. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us for the first look at weather.
So temperatures are cooling off a bit. Today we had a nice high of mid-60s, but right now we're sitting in the mid-40s for our northern counties, mid-50s for our southern counties. We did see a few pop-up thunderstorms in our southern counties, and those are quickly moved out of here off to the east, producing some lightning, some thunder, but they're out of our way and we're not expecting to see much more as we move into the rest of the evening. So we're going to go ahead and track our next system over here off our west coast, moving into our area on Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday is going to come in a little bit earlier, around 4 p.m. right before kickoff, and will continue out in our southern counties throughout the remainder of the evening and could potentially produce some snow. But I'll bring you more details in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. The Kansas Secretary of Commerce and Lieutenant Governor today stopped by Fort Scott to discuss the recent announcement of business closing. David Tolan met with community members and local leaders for a question and answer session. Its focus was on how the state can help Fort Scott build employment and economic opportunities lost with these closings.
The strongest economic growth of any state in the country, and that's because we have business recruiters that are on the West Coast, East Coast, Great Lakes region, and all around the world. And so we've got over 200 business leads that we're chasing, and that gives us a lot of optimism about our ability to fill up these industrial locations here in Fort Scott.
The Q&A was held at the Empress Event Center. The Carthage Chamber of Commerce hosted the 2024 Eggs and Issues legislative briefing. The event gave the public the opportunity to interact with local legislators. All elected officials gave an update on bills and priorities discussed and proposed in Jefferson City and in Washington, D.C. Organizers said the event serves as a way to show the impact bills have right here in the 4-state area.
Working on bills and things like that, you always hear it after the fact. Well, this is a great way for our representatives to let them know, hey, this is what's coming up. This is what we've voted on to help us move in a good direction throughout the whole community and lead our state in a direction that is positive and has a great quality of life for all of us here in Southwest Missouri.
Today's event took place at the Carthage Water and Electric Plant Community Room. The city of Frontenac is getting closer to having its first public library. KOM's Samantha Walker tells us more about what the future building will offer.
Frontenac will soon have a public library following a $4.5 million donation from the Tavella family.
I think that they were really just passionate about education and giving back.
And it will be the first in the city.
Frontenac has never had a public library before, so this will be the first in our history.
The library director says the future building will have various resources for the community. This includes Root Coffee House, who's opening a second location there.
So in addition to a nice book collection, we will also have a community room available for people to use. We will also have a coffee shop, and the new library will also hold the Frontenac Historical Collection as well.
And behind me, where currently sits Frontenac's Town Hall, will soon be the site of the future library.
That building will be coming down, and the building will be about 8,400 square foot.
And for readers, books for the future library are already being gathered.
We have probably around 6,000 books boxed up right now that we're slowly getting processed and entered into the system so they're shelf ready.
Construction for the library is expected to begin this summer. The city hopes to have the building open to the public in 2025.
We just encourage people to kind of follow along on the progress and everything. We have a website up and going now. It's frontenacpl.org. We hope to have construction updates available for everybody to check out. And if anybody ever has any questions, they can contact me up here at City Hall.
In Frontenac, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
To learn more about the future Frontenac Public Library, visit our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. Galena Elementary showed off their spirit today by wearing red. Students wore everything from Chiefs gear to even a few 49ers shirts. Area schools have celebrated Spirit Week this week with the Super Bowl just a few days away. Teachers use the occasion to sneak in some fun learning.
It's a great idea because the kids are thinking about it anyway, and we can build on what is happening in our community and around the world, really, at any point in time, and give them something to have some background and some knowledge that they can go into the future.
You can watch the Super Bowl right here on KOAM and Paramount Plus this Sunday. Folks in Joplin had a chance to shop and mingle while raising money for those in need. Freeman Health System today hosted a Galentine's Day Sip and Shop. Women were encouraged to come out, sample some food and drinks, and shop for gifts for their friends from local boutiques. Participating boutiques are donating 15% of their proceeds from the event to Freeman's Helping Friends Mammogram Fund, which provides free mammograms to women in need.
So I think it's just a great community event for people to come out and support small business, but also it gives other businesses the opportunity to support a great cause and just educate them on the importance of mammograms and all the services that are available to women. And so it's just a great event that highlights women.
Officials hope to raise more than $17,000 at this year's event. Coming up, why students in Carthage created toys for children with cerebral palsy. Students in Carthage stepped into the Shark Tank to show off toys they created to assist children with cerebral palsy. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
It's one thing to create a project for school, but the pressure is on when you have to present it to a Shark Tank.
Kind of like you don't know these people and like you're just talking to someone you don't know.
But according to these sharks, these kids know how to give the perfect pitch.
When I came into it, I was thinking, given the goals of their patient, are they meeting the goals that the patient wants, and are they developing a product that would actually help out with what they're trying to fix, right? Every single one blew it out of the water.
These students were tasked with developing a toy to assist children who have cerebral palsy, each team coming up with a unique idea.
We had a guest speaker as a physical therapist, occupational therapist come in and share a lot of designs, and surprisingly our kids come up with some things that are pretty similar to things that are actually in use.
Though the kids won't actually give their designs away, it does help them understand why these kinds of toys are necessary.
Probably makes him feel more special and like feels like he's being noticed.
Yeah, kind of recognize like everyone else around him instead of just being the kid with like cerebral palsy.
Though there could only be one winner, these students now have a better understanding of how to collaborate as a team and create a product that could change someone's life. Reporting in Carthage, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Out of the 400 students that participated in this project, only 19 were a part of the final 5 teams. Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, we'll hear from voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, one last time this season as the team gets set for the Super Bowl.
So we had a warm day today, temperatures up to the mid-60s, and it was a little windy, but it's lightened up as we move into the overnight hours. Cornell Complex camera, downtown Joplin. It's overcast conditions outside right now. We did have a few scattered thunderstorms in our southern counties, but for the rest of us, it's been pretty dry today, and temperatures sticking around about 47 right now, so it's dropped a little bit, and it's going to get down to the mid-40s for our overnight low, possibly dropping a little bit further as we move into tomorrow. Winds are coming from the south, pretty light, and good visibility because we don't have any more storms in the area. So they pass through Bentonville, Cassville, but they're out of here off to the east, and we are tracking our next system coming in over here. It's moving into our area Sunday evening, right in time for Super Bowl Sunday. But tomorrow we're going to be overcast conditions, no rain. Temperatures are sitting in the mid-40s as our day increases. By noon, 46, and then we'll get up to the low 50s for our high. But those cloudy conditions are going to make it feel a little bit cooler. The rain doesn't move in until Sunday evening. Clouds do start to roll in a little bit early, so we're still going to be cloudy into Sunday morning. And temperatures are mid-30s, so it's going to start off a little bit chillier than what we have had for the last week. But it's not below freezing, so everything that comes in shouldn't freeze, won't stick. It'll be just a little bit of rain as we start off Sunday by 4, mostly in our southern counties. As we continue on, it's going to stick around in our southern counties until we get into the overnight hours on Monday. It starts to inch up a little bit to our central counties as that snow pushes through. And it's going to be just a quick little patch of snow in our southern counties, with the heaviest bit going straight beneath us, and then the rest of us are going to see maybe a little bit of an accumulation. But like I said, these temperatures aren't getting below freezing until the overnight hours on Monday, pushing Tuesday. So we're not going to see anything freeze until at least then, and that'll pass through our area by Monday evening. And then taking a look at the snowfall amounts we might see, most of us are going to be most of us in the southern region are going to be just possibly seeing if we may get some snow. But for our lower southern counties, you could see a slight accumulation, and the heaviest snow just being south of us, barely clipping us as it moves to the south off to the east. Then we'll start to warm back up actually as we move into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, getting back up into the 60s before we see another little patch of rain on Friday, dropping those temperatures a bit again into next weekend, with our overnight lows dropping down to below freezing again.
I mean, Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, they look great to me.
They do look pretty nice.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Scientists say a 2,000-foot-long ice core reveals the West Antarctic ice sheet seems to have shrunk suddenly and dramatically about 8,000 years ago. The study indicates if similar melting happens again, the ice there now contains enough water where sea levels could rise by 16 feet and cause devastating flooding in coastal towns and cities around the world. Coming up, why prices at the grocery store keep going up even though inflation is leveling out. Costs at grocery stores are still on the rise, and a recent survey shows these steady high prices are surpassing the ongoing inflation. Fox's Josh Rosenthal takes us to the shops to help us learn more.
What do you think about grocery prices?
They're astronomical.
Terrible. $155.50.
We heard the same thing from shopper after shopper Wednesday in Silver Spring.
Sometimes I just stand to the side and look at my receipt and say, well, did they ring this up wrong? And by the time I actually add it up, it's right.
A new report from DC think tank Groundwork Collaborative helps explain why. Researchers say families are paying 25% more for groceries now than they were before the pandemic. That outpaces overall inflation. They also found that 5 categories of groceries get a lot of the blame. You can probably guess some of the reasons why. Stuff like climate change, reducing the supply of meat and produce, the war in Ukraine driving up prices for wheat and oil. But researchers believe corporate consolidation and profiteering have had a major impact on your family's grocery bill too.
The inputs to making this food for producers has gone down pretty significantly, and yet those companies are not passing those savings off to consumers. They're not hiking sticker prices by very much, but they're keeping them high even as their costs come down.
One of the report's authors, Elizabeth Pancotti, gave Mondelez International as an example. Whether you've heard of them or not, you are probably a customer. They make Oreos, Wheat Thins, and Ritz.
They have seen their profit margins increase by about 75% over the past year as their prices come down, but sticker prices for consumers stay up.
We did reach out to that company for comment, but didn't immediately hear back. If you want to read the full report, we've got you covered over on fox5dc.com. And lastly, I want to leave you with a little bit of relatively good news. Researchers said that the price of some grocery staples, stuff like eggs and lettuce, have started to go back down.
Some new data reveals which snacks Super Bowl fans enjoyed the most during the big game. According to Instacart's Snack Time report, tortilla chips took the #1 spot as the favorite snack. Cola, cheese blend, salsa, and pretzels finished out the top 5 respectively. The report also revealed that 58% of the survey participants said scoop-style tortilla chips are their favorite type. The grocery delivery service used customer purchase data from last year as well as survey insights from a Harris poll to put together its report. Up next, we'll see how NICU babies at Freeman Hospital in Joplin got into the Chiefs' spirit ahead of Super Bowl Sunday. The NICU wing of Freeman Hospital got into the Chiefs' spirit today. Some of the costumes featured Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Coach Andy Reid, and of course, Taylor Swift. But it wasn't just football players in cheerleader outfits they were sporting. They also all made Taylor Swift friendship bracelets. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Why a campaign ad has a Missouri Secretary of State candidate in hot water. Plus, the FCC is cracking down on robocalls with voices generated by artificial intelligence. We'll see how that could impact the race for the White House.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe. One woman running for Secretary of State in Missouri is under fire for a campaign ad. John Kipper has details.
This is what I will do to the grooming books when I become Secretary of State.
Valentina Gomez, burning books she says grooms kids. The books in question, Queer, Ultimate LGBTQ Guide for Teens, and Naked, Not Your Average Sex Encyclopedia. It's a strong political statement garnering many negative reactions.
It's extremely problematic, and that type of hate-filled rhetoric, honestly, it has deadly consequences in our community.
Brittany and Heather Dyer have been a couple for 11 years and live in Springfield, Missouri. They're especially alarmed by Gomez as she campaigns against LGBTQ books in public libraries.
DEI, LGBTQ, and critical race theory, and the second I gets run into office.
Obviously, the rhetoric is beyond hateful and bigoted.
They saw Gomez at this event at a Springfield library last week, where she can be seen holding 2 LGBTQ books. She talked to our sister station during the anti-trans book event.
I'm fighting the political machine. I am not backed by any special interest.
And didn't hold back.
Let's get, excuse my language, our together and pull up our pants and fight back.
Gomez is running for Missouri Secretary of State. Their main job is running elections. But also, they're in charge of state funding for libraries.
I'm going to defund all the libraries that are having LGBTQ, DEI, critical race theory material in the children's section.
And while the Secretary of State controls local library state funding, the local libraries are primarily funded at the local level. Gomez, born in Colombia, is a self-described self-made millionaire. She's also a vocal opponent of illegal immigration.
Many of them are sleeper agents that will act against the public.
And in fact, she spoke at a November St. Charles County Council meeting in favor of a resolution aiming to stop legal immigrants from coming to the region.
We have to stand up and fight for our U.S. citizens.
After seeing the video, First Alert 4 reached out to Gomez and her campaign treasurer for an interview. We never heard back.
Gomez's LinkedIn profile indicates she works for Nestle Purina. Company officials there said her behavior runs counter to the expectations they have for employees. The state of Missouri marks 1 year since beginning sales of non-medical marijuana use. According to the Department of Health and Senior Services and the Division of Cannabis Regulation in the state, more than $1 million went to each of the following agencies: the Missouri Veterans Commission, the DHSS Substance Use Disorder Grants Program, and the Missouri State Public Defender System. The DCR grew from 50 staff members to almost 150 since the legislation. The state has also issued 48 microbusiness licenses. President Biden is pushing back on the special counsel report about his mishandling of classified documents. The report referred to the president as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. President Biden called a press conference and slammed the report's conclusion, especially parts where it said the president couldn't recall details about his life, including when his son, Beau, died. The FCC voted to ban robocalls made with artificial intelligence. This comes after a high-profile call mimicked President Joe Biden's voice before the New Hampshire primary. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has the details.
Voters in New Hampshire received a robocall right before they headed to the polls.
We'll need your help in electing Democrats up and down the ticket.
President Biden's voice, mimicked using artificial intelligence, told them not to vote in the primary.
That call was indeed fake.
We want to do as much as we can to give people comfort that we're not only on top of this, but we're holding people accountable who might try this.
The Federal Communications Commission traced the robocalls to a Texas-based company, Life Corporation. And this week, the FCC voted to make it illegal to use artificial intelligence to make those kinds of calls, letting the agency fine the callers. In a statement, the agency said, quote, "Bad actors are using AI-generated voices in unsolicited robocalls to extort vulnerable family members, imitate celebrities, and misinform voters." The FCC says unwanted calls and robocalls are its largest source of consumer complaints. With tens of billions dialed each year, the unwanted robocalls aren't just a nuisance, they can threaten public safety by disrupting 911 call centers. Congress has cracked down on robocalls in the past, saying they defraud Americans out of billions of dollars. The FCC says it's also looking into using AI for good, tracing the source of those unwanted calls. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
A bit later, we'll hear from a high school basketball manager who finally got a chance to get on the court.
This week we've had pretty warm temperatures, gusty winds, and some pop-up thunderstorms tonight in our southern counties. But taking a look outside at our Cornell Complex camera in downtown Joplin, right now it's pretty smooth. We've got some overcast conditions, winds have lightened up, and the thunderstorms that we saw in our southern counties have moved off to the east. Current temperature right now is 47 degrees and it's going to drop to the lower 40s for overnight low. But the winds are light, coming out of the south, about 7 to 10 miles per hour, and good visibility because we don't have those thunderstorms in our area. They've moved off to the east and we're not going to expect to see any more pop-up thunderstorms throughout the remainder of this evening. So we're going to go ahead and track our next system. It is over here on our west coast, making its way into our area Sunday evening. And we'll see that kind of pop up a little bit later in the afternoon. But tomorrow, it's just going to be overcast conditions. We're not going to see any rain, but it will be a little bit chillier than we've had for the last few days. With our temperature by noon only getting up to mid-40s. And our high tomorrow will be about 50, 51 degrees. So it's not going to be as warm as we saw today, but that's due to this little batch of rain and possibly snow mix we've got coming in on Sunday. Clouds start to roll in around 6, 7 a.m. and then the rain will start to inch up as we move into the early afternoon hours on Sunday, just in our southern counties. And it's going to stick around there for the remainder of the evening until we get into the overnight hours. By 6:30, it's still just hanging around in our southern counties. And then as we move into the overnight hours on Monday, we start to see it slowly creep up to our central counties as that snow moves in. Now, take a look at these temperatures. They're not dropping below freezing, so we're not going to see any of this stick onto the roads, but we will still see a little bit of snow in the overnight hours and early hours on Monday. By afternoon, it's going to move off to the east. It is a slow-moving system, so it will kind of stick around for Monday day, but it'll be out of here by then and by tomorrow, Monday evening. Then we see our heaviest snow just south of us. It's going to clip us a little bit. Bentonville may see a little bit of heavier accumulation, but for the rest of us up to Joplin, we're not going to see much. Maybe just some light flurries and a little bit of accumulation on the grass. Then moving into next week, we've got temperatures back up into the 60s, and then another little system moving in Friday, dropping those temperatures again into next weekend, getting down to 43 on Saturday with maybe some scattered showers.
Looks like there's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it is a little crazy this week, huh?
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, a cheap Super Bowl ticket is likely too good to be true because of new tricks from scammers. Intelligence company NISO says hackers are taking advantage of football fans looking to score last-minute tickets for the big game. Scammer tactics include creating fake tickets by editing images and picking targets based on common words consumers search, such as Super Bowl or looking for tickets. Tech experts advise fans to be aware of people who try to complete deals quickly and to be cautious of sellers asking to name your price. The Super Bowl is just a couple of days away, and not only is it the biggest football game of the year, but it's also the most popular gambling day. The American Gaming Association says this year millions of American adults are expected to bet on the game. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down the numbers.
More than 2/3 of American adults live where live sports betting is legal, and this Super Bowl many are expected to place a bet. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says with all the excitement of the big game, it's important to gamble responsibly.
We are the only league to do our own spots on responsible gambling to make sure our fans understand the dangers of irresponsible gambling.
67.8 million American adults are expected to wager on the game. That's a 35% increase from last year, making it likely the biggest year for Super Bowl gambling ever, according to the American Gaming Association. While most people are expected to bet online in states where it is legal, 36% of adults say they'll bet casually with friends, and only 14% say they'll place a bet with a bookie. Although the players can't bet on the game, they have their own memories of gambling in Las Vegas.
Kind of had a bad track record in Las Vegas.
My favorite Vegas moment is winning.
As if to drive the point home that the game is unpredictable, Goodell points to perhaps its most prominent figure, Taylor Swift.
There is no way that I could have scripted that one. Let's just put it that way.
Coming up in sports, the final Minute with Mitch of this season previews Super Bowl 58. Plus highlights from Missouri Southern baseball's home opener. John Dales has those stories and more up next in sports.
Hey, welcome into sports. I'm John Dales. One of the best offensive linemen in the 4 states is staying home. Pittsburgh High School senior Noah Rogers signs this afternoon to further his academic and athletic careers with Pittsburgh State. This afternoon, Noah Rogers signing with Pitt State football. The All-State Honorable Mention and first-team All-SEK offensive lineman says this moment is very special. Not just signing to play college football, but to become a Gorilla.
I just love the coaching staff there. I just loved just the atmosphere. I've grown up watching the Gorillas my whole life, and I just really, when I went on the visit, I just really fell in love with it. I went on a lot of other visits, and I had a lot of other opportunities, but really just Pitt State was the one that really stuck out to me.
Switching gears to baseball, Missouri Southern is taking full advantage of the beautiful weather. This afternoon, the Lions play their home opener against Ouachita Baptist. That's the same team who beat Southern 8-1 on Sunday. Missouri Southern returns home to Warner Turner Field. The Lions host Ouachita Baptist. We pick things up in the second inning. Will Doherty puts a charge into one. That ball's going to clear the fence in left field for a 2-run homer. It's 2-0 Southern. Not very long after that, in fact, the very next batter, Nate Miskowski, gets every piece of that baseball. It is long gone. Back-to-back homers for the Lions. Southern up 3-0. In the third now, Lions up 6-1. Drew Davis, it's an RBI single to left. Mizkowski comes home to score. It's 7-1. Later in the third, bases loaded, and Drew Townsend sends a line drive, base hit into right field. 2 more runs will come in to score. Missouri Southern wins its first home game of the season. Final score in that one, 15-1. Meanwhile, Pitt State baseball loses its home opener 5-4 to Regis. The Gorillas are held to just 5 hits as a team. This is just game 1 of a 4-game set between these two teams this weekend. The two will play a doubleheader tomorrow. The first game of that one in Pittsburgh is at noon. Second one scheduled to begin at 3 p.m. And we all know what Sunday is, Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. The Chiefs' 4th trip to the big game in the last 5 years. On the final Red Friday of the 23-24 football season, we're going to have more on that in the Super Bowl Minute with Mitch.
For the 4th time in the past 5 seasons, our final Minute with Mitch is during Super Bowl week. Crazy. But if the Chiefs win Super Bowl 58, the historical magnitude of the victory would be widespread. It would be the Chiefs' 4th Super Bowl win, and that would be tied for 5th in NFL history with the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers. A 4th Chiefs Super Bowl conquest would give them more Lombardi trophies than any AFC West rival, eclipsing the 3 won by the Raiders and the Broncos. And of course, it would be the first back-to-back Super Bowl champion in almost 7,000 days. So, let's do this. It'll also be emotional. It's Super Bowl 58, the number of the late Derek Thomas, on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
Well, we're just a couple of days away from the Super Bowl. We had our first premiere of our Chiefs Countdown special after our 6 o'clock newscast, and all 4 of us that provided picks in that chose the Chiefs.
Okay.
So we're hoping not to jinx them, definitely, but everybody here at KOA, I'm pretty confident that Casey's going to be able to pull it out.
You know what? I think I might have to join.
You're going to be the 5th one? Yeah.
I think so. I mean, you can't.
Hard to pick against Mahomes, hard to pick against Andy Reid. I get it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, John. We're back with more news right after this. In Arkansas, a longtime high school senior manager on a boys basketball team recently got the honor of a lifetime. The teen got to score his first points during a game. Hayden Savage has more from this special night.
Yeah, hey, good evening. Most basketball nights here in Highland at the A.L. Hudson Memorial Gym, you can find senior Bryce Bettis sitting on the bench helping his team to yet another victory. But a few nights ago, he reached a personal victory of his own.
We rewarded Bryce for all the hard work he's done. You know, he's been with us since he was a 9th grader and gone through everything that everybody else has gone through.
Bryce Bettis, a longtime manager and high school senior, recently received the honor of a lifetime. On February 2nd, as the Rebels prepared to play Westside on senior night, the team wanted to honor Bryce's commitment to the team in a special way.
We were able to talk to Coach Whitmire, and we were able to come up with a game plan in order to help him out a little.
That game plan was to get Bryce the ball and let him score his first career points in a ball game.
I had a game plan how we were going to steal one from Westside and let me score first 2 points of the game.
Drew up a little set to get him a layup, and it was awesome. The crowd went wild.
But that wasn't the only first that evening for Bryce. Before shooting and scoring his first career bucket, he was announced as a starter for the basketball team.
Number 1, Bryce Bettis.
Both say the moment is something they'll never forget.
I was a little nervous. I was like, holy crap.
To see how happy he was in that moment and see how happy his teammates were with him is, something special.
Wolf added that Bryce isn't now only a star in the game, but also a role model.
If we had more kids like Bryce, this would be this would be a better profession than what it already is.
Coming up, the Super Bowl isn't just about football. We'll hear from this year's entertainers about preparing for the big game. Superstars performing at this year's Super Bowl have also made big announcements before the big game. We take a look at the lineup and also what's coming up for next for the artists. Here's Fox's Ashley DeBorkin.
Welcome to the Super Bowl 58 pregame.
The party has started in Las Vegas, counting down to Super Bowl 58. And as the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers get ready to take the field, artists are getting ready to take the stage.
You're owing me for everybody.
R&B superstar Usher is center stage as this year's halftime performer. He shared with Entertainment Weekly the show will be 15 minutes versus usually being about 13 minutes long. Leading up to the big game, Usher also shared big announcements. His 9th album, Coming Home, is out February 9th. And in celebration of his 30-year career, he has a tour kicking off in August called Usher Past, Present, Future. Reba McEntire will sing the national anthem. The performance is a full-circle moment for the country music icon. Her career launched after she was discovered 50 years ago at the 1974 National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma, singing the national anthem. Pre-game talent also includes Post Malone singing America the Beautiful. He just made history as his hit Sunflower, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Sway Lee has become the first ever single to be certified double diamond. Multi-platinum Grammy winner and Academy Award nominee Andra Day will sing Lift Every Voice and Sing. Day just released a new single, Probably, ahead of her upcoming third album, Cassandra, which is out this spring. In Hollywood, Ashley DeVorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of zebras at the Lyon County Safari in Florida. From all of us here in the studio, have a great evening.